So let's start talking a little about euphoniums. In the words of my father, who doesn't know too much about music, love you, Dad. It almost looks like a baby tuba, and and it's a great analogy for it to happen. However, the evolution of the euphonium versus a baritone, and even some people might know what a tenor horn is these days. Just explain to me the where does a euphonium come from?
Okay, so when you go back to the history of tubas, one of our lines of heritage comes from sax horns and bass sax horns that were, used in England and France in that area, and they were upright pistons with bells on the left side, and that pointed up, and they came in varying sizes. So you had a bass sax horn and a tenor sax horn and alto and so on, and so this is kind of where the family of tubas came from and developed from. And so, yeah, when you say it looks like a baby tuba, it's from the same family of instruments. And so when you have a B flat euphonium that's a compensating instrument, it's an octave higher than a B flat tuba. So it plays in that same register that a trombone would, but instead of being a cylindrical bore instrument like a trombone, it's conical like a tuba. And so it has more of that, more breadth of sound, wider sound.
Okay. And for a lot of people that go out into public, you'll sometimes see, for example, I know a lot of German ensembles will have a euphonium that's playing, however, the bell is facing forward and out like that. What is the difference between a top-facing bell versus a forward-facing bell?
It's a design. So we generally don't see front-facing bell instruments anymore, but we call those recording bell. And so when those instruments were made back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, the way our technology worked is that there'd be one or two microphones in front of an ensemble. And so at that point, everything had live musicians, whether it was radio broadcast or all of your television shows. So there was a lot more studio work going on. And so with the microphones being out front like that, we put bells that went forward. And if you've ever watched Disney's Fantasia, you can kind of see with the outline of the tuba, it also has a bell front that's going forward. And a lot of that was just to access the microphones.
Okay.
So nowadays we don't do that because when we record, we have microphones set up all over the place. And it's kind of gone out of style. They also come in oval shapes, and a lot of times you'll see those in German bands and European ensembles as well, but they're still within that same family of instrument and play in the same range.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody asked you what's the difference between a baritone and a euphonium, how would you answer them?
Well, the technical answer is that one of them is cylindrical and one of them is more conical. Okay. And so a baritone and a euphonium play the same range, and they're both pitched in B flat, but a baritone horn is going to look significantly smaller. It's wrapped tighter, and like a trumpet, it's going to be a cylindrical instrument. And so if you know the difference between a trumpet and a cornet, that's very much the difference between a baritone and a euphonium. And so basically it stays the same bore size from the lead pipe through the valve section until the bell starts to taper. And on a baritone horn, it does taper a little bit before that. But on the euphonium, things start much sooner. And it's a conical instrument, so that's what that means, is it starts expanding much faster.
Hey Music Man viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the link down here, and find our newest material by clicking over here. Thanks for watching.